On this channel, I somehow keep talking about these bullet hell games, like I'm being sucked into a black hole filled with cheap roguelikes that are capitalizing on the bullet heaven craze Vampire Survivor popularized. And today we have another one. That's right, today we are looking at Boneraiser Minions, another game in the action bullet hell, bullet heaven, roguelike, walking simulator genre. And this time you're the bad guy. Let's get this out of the way. The game is $6. Boneraiser Minions would have to be a complete turd of a game for me to not recommend it at this price, and considering I currently have 57 hours into it, I'm sure you know which way this is going to go. But let's talk about it. Boneraiser Minions is an indie game developed and published by Caseware. I hope I'm saying that correctly, if not, my bad. It's another game where you walk around and try to dodge enemies while your power-ups kill them. The interesting flip this game does here is that instead of unlocking new weapons that hover around you, instead you unlock new minions that hover around you. It might sound like a purely aesthetic change, but there are gameplay implications. In a game like Halls of Torment, you can see the damaging abilities are orbiting around the player, and as the player moves, so do the damaging abilities, compared to Boneraiser Minions, where most of your damage comes from, you guessed it, minions. While the minions do follow you around, the damage is originating from them, and they certainly aren't orbiting you like they would in other games. So you're surrounded by enemies with no minions around. Good night, sweet prince. There are 16 classes of necromancers to choose from, each with their own upgrades. While some classes are simple and are focused on giving you bonuses for picking a specific type of minion, certain classes like the Vampire Survivor incentivizes you to touch enemies, and these classes help force the player to play the game differently than usual. Classes aren't the only thing with variety, as there is a plethora of minions to choose from. You have an array of skeletons you would expect a necromancer to raise, while other types of minions like giants, demons, meldis, beasts, wax, and the coveted bro minions add much needed variety to builds. Although I did have a hard time figuring out what makes each group of minions different from the others outside of the visuals. Speaking of bro minions, one of the gripes with the game is the comedy. If you cannot tell from what I've shown so far, this is not a serious game. My issue is, there feels like a clash of humor here, the devilishly evil kind and the schoolboy variety. This combination can work as shown in the Overlord games, which I thought handled the balancing act relatively well as I can remember since Overlord Raising Hell came out 16 years ago. Anyway, Boneraiser bombards you with some variety of breast jokes every time a chest appears, that it stops being funny the 10th time you have to read a tits joke in a single hour. The bombardment of childish jokes did make me seriously laugh at the absurdity of the Lost Maiden event though. The Lost Maiden event lets you decide between killing the Lost Maiden or letting her go. If you decide to kill her, your minions hack her into teensy tiny itsy bitsy pieces, and you smear her bloody innards over thy opened mouth face. I couldn't help but laugh due to how comically evil this is compared to the rest of the game. Like one second you're trying to pound the queen, respectfully, and the next you're smearing the bloody innards of a maiden on your face. While the humor is hit or miss, it didn't seriously affect my enjoyment of the game. And I know it's been a meme for indie games to be pixel art and roguelikes, but the game does look visually appealing. The monster designs in particular look fantastic. There are a host of visual options, including changing the outlines of characters and the visibility of your minions. But after tinkering around with the settings, you should find something you like. Content-wise, the game's main time sink for me was finishing New Game Plus 2 on the variety of maps the game has. The Boneraiser lore in Heroic Forge gives the player more options to change how easy or difficult the run is, and the additional modes like Endless Waves or the card game are appreciated. Ultimately, it's a $6 game that gives you a decent amount of content and a fun game loop that scratches the itch for people that love this genre. Is it the best game ever? No, but there's enough here for me to say it's worth the price, and ultimately, isn't that all that matters? If you have played Boneraiser Minions before or other games worth checking out, post your thoughts below. While this genre is definitely oversaturated at this point, I do enjoy games trying a different take on things, and thoroughly enjoyed flipping the idea of amassing random power-ups to amassing a horde of minions to fight for you instead. And I hope we keep seeing more variations on core mechanics like this. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you aren't, it helps the channel grow. My name's Yuo, and I'll see you in the next one.